Hello, and today I'm going to talk you through how to connect to your UKCA Training virtual machine using a number of different connection methods. We're going to start with using X2Go to connect. So the first thing I need to do is download X2Go from here. Once you've done that, you load up X2Go and it should open up a new session. If that doesn't happen, you can click the new session icon box that's here, and that will load it up. You can give your session name anything you like. I'm going to be connecting to virtual machine number 3, so I'm going to call it this. The host will be the IP address that you'll have been sent, or you will be sent, but the login is always Ubuntu. And you'll also need to enter the key, the location of the key file that you'll have been sent. Again, you enter that through that window there. The last thing to remember here is you need to use LXDE for the session type. Now, if you're on Windows, you'll probably be able to see this whole dialog box. Mac, you may not. You might need to expand it to be bigger so you can get to the OK button. X2Go works under Windows, Mac, and Linux, so you could use it from whichever operating system you prefer to use. When you set that up, you pressed OK, you should get this little icon appearing here. We double click on that. You'll need to say that you wish to connect, and that will then open the connection to the machine. It opens a full desktop connection. And the first thing we'll have is an open terminal asking for our Met Office Science repository password, which you should enter. And for the first time you log in, it will ask you for your username. It only asks for this once. And so now we're authenticated to the Science Repository Service. You'll need to do this every day. So it is possible with X2Go, you can close the window down, and then you can log back in again, and it will remember where you were. So this might be handy at the end of the day. You don't have to log out, close all your windows. You can leave them all running, and when you come back, everything's as it was. In this instance, we've just got the open terminal, but you might have a full running suite, for instance. You can also expand the window to make it larger. This gives you more real estate on the window to be able to see things. First thing we need to do is copy the suite. So Rosie copy suite CA021. You can change the title if you want. You save it by Control-S or through the menus, and then you can quit. Go with Control-Q or through the menus, and press Y to make a copy. Then you can CD into the Roses directory, and this is our suite here. We can edit this suite using Rose Edit. This will bring the suite up for us. And the way you can run the suite, you can either type Rose suite-run in the terminal, or you can press the play button on the top right of the bar, and then this starts the suite running. So you can expand it there with the arrows or with these icons here. The first thing it will do is run the FCM make task. This compiles the code so we can actually see how that's running. And we can see that it's running these, it's compiling that at the moment. This will update as the files, as it runs through the different files. This should be relatively quick. If you're, if you have an error in one of your source files, it may be a bit slower, and it should bring the error message up, either if you're looking at the log file or when you're compiling. This icon here will change to red, and then you'll be able to right-click on it and view the error files to see what's going on. So that's finished, and as you can see, it's progressed on to the reconfiguration task. You can also view these as a kind of task list in terms of blobs. So we can see that it does FCM make, then recon, then Atmos as well. It's rather basic, this suite. So in fact, the atmosphere task has already started running. So we Control C to get out of that tail. And we can CD into the Silk run again. And here we go into the work directory, PE output. We can see what's going on by tailing the PE0 file. So this, the atmosphere task takes a bit of time to run. You can see it reading the UKCA ancillary files there, talking about the emissions. Now we're on time step 2. So time step 2 in the UKCA job that you'll be using is actually the first hour. This is the UKCA time step. So it might take a little bit of time to run, 6 or 7 minutes perhaps to run the whole job. There's also different ways we can connect. So not just using X2Go, we can also connect. If you're on Windows, you could connect via MobaXTerm. So this is MobaXTerm. Here's what it looks like when you load it up. We would start an SSH session. The remote host is again the IP address that you'll have been given. The username is Ubuntu again. And in the advanced settings, we need to specify the private key. Again, we need to search for that key. And then we can connect to the session. So here we go, we've connected. We can see that we have some running sessions on top. You see the US Atmos tasks running there. And we can go into our roses directory. And if we use the rose sgc command, we can actually bring the suite back up and be able to have a look at it. So we can see the running suite here. So that's if you're connecting through MobaXTerm on Windows. If you're on Linux or you have a Mac, you could connect through a terminal. There's a couple of different ways you could do this. So this is the command. If you're just going to type it into the terminal, you need to use the -I option onto SSH to specify the key. Again, Ubuntu at the IP address. Then that logs us in. Again, it doesn't ask us for the Moz's password. That's already been authenticated and cached when we logged into X2Go the first time. And we can go into our suite and again, view the running suite. You could, if you wanted to, you could add an entry into your SSH config file where you give the suite a name, the virtual machine a name. The host name here would be the IP address. The username is Ubuntu. And again, you've given the identity file. So now you just SSH into the name that you've given it under host. And again, this logs into our suite. And you can again see the running suite. So this all works quite nicely. You can go in from whichever connection method you want. And as you can see, I've actually connected 4 different ways at this moment in time, all to the same virtual machine and connected to the same suite each time. So if we go back into the X2Go window, we can see we're on time step 4. So this is progressing quite nicely. During the training, you'll also need to make use of Python. You don't need to learn any Python at all, or know really much of Python other than maybe editing a couple of lines in files. But you will need to use Python to edit the netcdf files that we use for the emissions. So to do that, you would need to open a PyTerm in your in a terminal. So if we open a new terminal here, see it's taking a little bit of time, perhaps with the running, it's taking a bit of the resources of the system. Here we go. So you can open a new window and we can open a PyTerm. So what this does is changes the Python environment because the these windows here are all Python-based windows, but they don't work very well with Iris, which is what we need to use for making up the emissions files. But if we use the pylab command, which is I've written as a kind of alias to IPython, we can then import Iris, and this is what we can use to do work with Python. Once the job has stopped running, if you wanted to, you could use Iris to plot the output if you know how to do that. I'm not asking you to do that in these tutorials, however. What we can do is we can use xconv to plot the output. So in fact, we're on time step 6 here, which means we've nearly finished the simulation. You can see it's been running for about 5 minutes. And when that's finished, we'll have the file we can view. In fact, this PA file here, we were able to open. In fact, the job's just finished. This is the message you get at the end. We can see it took 262 seconds of wall clock to run. And if you look here, the suite has finished, all the tasks have gone, and it's got the message stopped with succeeded, which is what we want to see. You can use xconv to open the Atlas A PA file, and we could see the various fields that have been output through stash. So we can go to the stash requests panel. We can see various fields have been sent to the PA file. And so we can see all these fields have gone to PA. And we can open up, say, the ozone, and we can look at the ozone file, the ozone field, and look at the surface ozone pretty easily. And then if you wanted to, you can close that down. And you go away. The next morning when you come in, you double click on it, it will reconnect. And it will bring you back to where things were. Because it's minimized the screen again, you can just maximize it back out. Everything's back to where it was. As I say, it's the next morning, you would need to Moz's cache password again. So you would do Moz's cache password, and it will just ask for your science repository password. And then you're re-authenticated and you continue working for the day. So there we go. That should be enough. You need to connect. If you have any issues, please let me know.